So this video, we're going to look at particles as an alternative to nodes to paint grass on our terrain. So let's go ahead and create a plane, and then I'm going to scale this up to be my ground terrain. And then I'm going to go to edit mode. I'm going to right click, subdivide, and bump this up to 30. And again, the more detail you add to this, the more processing power your computer is going to need. And then you can throw a geometry node noise to kind of set and move this terrain around, or you can use proportional editing to kind of move around by hand. It might be a little bit more tedious, but you have more control over it. And I'm not going to get too finicky with it because I want to focus mostly on the grass. So I'm just going to kind of make this a little bit, just so it's not perfectly straight and flat, to make it a little more interesting. All right, so then I'm going to select all of these vertices. I'm going to create a new vertex group, and I'm going to call it grass. So over here at the bottom, you're right, you have this data object properties. You go ahead and assign. So it's going to assign all of these vertices that I selected into this vertex group. So now I'm going to hop back over to particles, my particle properties, create a new particles. Then we're going to call this one grass. And we're going to switch it over to hair. So now if we go to object mode, you can see it has this hair type grass that's going on here. So you can make this a little bit more short. So it's a little bit more similar to grass. And you can actually probably use these as your grass. What I want to do is use this grass object over here on the left that I've created. So I'm going to switch it over from render as path to render as object. So then I can go ahead and select this grass object. And then let's go ahead and bump the scale up so it fills up that space. And then let's go ahead and go to advanced so we can control the rotation. And I'm going to have it, let's lock it to global Y. We'll make sure that it is the source is emitting from these vertices. And then I can go all the way down to vertex group and hit my density to these, the grass. So now let's go ahead and go to our weight painting menu up here at the left. And everything that's in red is what has been weight painting. So if I want to erase, what I do is I'll hold down Control, and then this will allow me to kind of paint path through this grass and kind of create a space where there isn't, grass won't grow there. This allows me to kind of control it a little bit more naturally. You can also say if I wanted to use these to alternate between these grass objects. I can actually select from object to collection. And then I can go ahead and do this grasses collection, and it will go through and set up. And you can also set, like, customize the settings, like how many you want of each one of these. If you want one to be more than the other. So if I wanted to increase the count of the grass and make it have the flowers be fewer, that's an option as well. So if I want to paint maybe these rocks, I can use another set of particles, and I can use another set of vertex groups. So if I went to edit, and then we'll add another vertex group, we'll call this one rocks. I'll assign that, and then I'll go to particles. So we'll create another particle system. We'll call this one rocks as well to keep it consistent. And then let's use hair. And then let's go ahead and change our path to object again. This time we'll select our rock. And then I'll go ahead and let's bump up the scale. And we'll lock our rotation to global Y. and make sure that the source again is vertices, and then we want to select our densities to our rock. So then we do the same thing as well as we can increase this number for one thing, because I don't know if we need as many rocks. Let's say if I wanted to clear this path out, I mean, I could probably use the same vertex group as before, or I can weight paint and get rid of the same path and clear this path of rocks and stones. To still have the randomness going on throughout the rest of the terrain. Now, as a bonus, let's look at how we can kind of do a similar thing with painting on material in a similar fashion. So we'll go ahead and hop over our shading, and then let's select our object, go to our ground, and create a new texture. I'm going to call it hand painted ground. And I have just two textures in here. One's a grass and one's the actual ground. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix these two. So I'll drag that over here. So I can mix color. So what I wanted to do is mix these two colors. Good, drop it there. But what I want to do is I want to mix it based on a type of factor. And what I'm going to use for my factor is another image texture. But this time I'm going to create, and I'm going to call this round mask. And we can bump this up if we want. So for this tutorial, I'll just keep it at 1024 and hit new image. So what this does in the factor is everything that's black is going to be this top texture, which is A. And anything I paint white is going to be the other texture. And that's what this factor does. But I'm controlling it again by this hand-painted mask. So I go to texture paint. And what I'll do is on this one, let's go to ground mask so you can kind of see what's going on here. And then go ahead and make sure that it's painted white. And then I'm just going to paint over here on this ground mask layer. I can switch it over here, but I want you to be able to see it on my actual render as well. So when I paint this, you can tell that everything that I paint white is going to be this ground texture, and everything that's black is going to be the other one. And if I wanted to, again, I can switch over, swap it out in this section as well.